All right, folks, it is time to get into it. The NFL Pregame Party Championship Tailgate starts now.
Let's fucking go! Let's fucking go.
All right, welcome aboard, folks. It's time for NFL Pregame Party. I'm your host, Joe's Atmosphere, and I am joined, as usual, by the King, Das Wolfen. It's good to be the King, isn't it, John?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's and Knock has the sentiment of, I would say, 80% of the football world right now. Boo! The Chiefs have made it to the.
I would say at least 81%.
81? You want to give it that extra 1%?
Yes, just an extra one.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know,
I would say probably 90%, but the hate I see online.
I don't hate the fact, but then again, one of my teams was the most hated team for 2 decades, so I understand where he's at, it's funny. I think, what was it? The stat I heard this morning, 7 of the last 10 Super Bowls have been won by either Tom Brady or friggin' Patrick Mahomes. It's ridiculous, man. No, I understand the hate. I really do. But, that's what comes with greatness. You get some haters out there.
Well, I just thought of this, putting something out there. When the Broncos lost to the Steelers won the Super Bowl. When the Ravens beat the Broncos in the playoffs, the Ravens won the Super Bowl. When the Seattle played the Broncos in the Super Bowl, they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
When I think there was one more. When the Bills beat the Broncos, are the Bills going to win the Super Bowl? So, it's whoever beats the Broncos that has the best chance to win the Super Bowl.
Right. There you go. There it is. So I guess it's Buffalo's turn now, right? Yeah. There you go. Okay. Well. All right.
Well, many playoff games, but yeah, I'm gonna go.
Right. Well, last weekend we had a pretty good stretch. We had 3 days of championship level football, and we'll start by covering what happened last weekend with the divisional round games. Of course, last time we gave you predictions. Now we'll talk about how they ended up. Let's see. Let me get this real quick here, guys, and I'll have it ready to go. Bear with me. I got to get it up here. I want to thank everybody for watching us on the platform that bounces, the Bumble, as I like to call it, and X. All you guys that are watching, thanks for being here. Let's start with the game that always starts that weekend. The Texans and whoever they're playing happened to be the champs this time around. It was 14-23 was the final.
Pretty much the same results as every other.
It was the same results last time they played. They just outlasted them. They the Texans started early, decent on defense, but they just crumbled under the pressure after a while. And it turned into the Kelsey show. I guess they've been saving him all year for the playoffs, and sure enough, he ended up the touchdown where the guy had his ankle and he's fallen down and throws it to friggin' Kelsey in the middle of the end zone was just wow. But that was
and that was right after the bullshit flop.
You're right. Yeah, it was.
So you're cursing them 1 second, and then you're like, "How the fuck?" the next second. It's just That's what that encapsulates what saying that word wrong, but that shows what Mahomes is all about.
Yeah,
how the fuck?
It's just like me and my brother like to say, superhero like even. It's amazing what that guy can do, but the flop, the dancing around behind receivers to draw penalties. That kind of shit. They've got to look at that in the offseason. You guys have heard me rail against a certain guy that a lot of people are rooting for this weekend against the Chiefs. Josh Allen. Both of these guys like to play with the fucking rules, and I don't like it at all. They really need to look at these quarterback out of the pocket plays. They need to look at this stuff. Because you guys have heard me rail about Josh Allen on the sideline, just hanging around, hoping he's going to get hit by somebody to draw a flag. Every time both of these guys get up, they're looking for flags. But you know what? All the great competitors get every edge they can. I can't say Tom Brady didn't do the same fucking thing. He was looking for a flag on every fucking play. So, but this one thing Brady didn't do was dance around outside the pocket looking for somebody to hit him to get a flag. That's just that right there needs to be looked at in the offseason. And Knock, didn't you say they were going to look at something like that when we were talking pregame?
No, John had mentioned it. But I saw the same article.
What did you say?
Well, just that they're gonna look at the extending the replays.
Okay.
To include sliding and being able to.
We got Keely Chow in the house this morning. He says, in my Jim Mora voice, playoffs. The Texans being crap in the playoffs is part of the price of the city of Houston paid for another World Series. Okay, so what it is they work their voodoo magic to make sure the Astros win World Series, but the rest of their franchises are going to suck because of it, huh? Okay, cool. But any other thoughts on this game right here? I mean, Stroud's talented, but we got to remember this is only his second year in the league. He's been in the playoffs both years. You got to give him that. He's done good enough for the regular season to get there, but it was more of the same. He hangs onto the ball too long. He's definitely a young quarterback. He's got a lot to learn. And he's one of those guys that will probably grow into the role. He's not – I don't see him as a I haven't decided if he's mentally tough yet, but I know he's not mentally stupid. So that remains to be seen. But right now, he's just not ready, man. They like I said, he hangs onto the ball too long. And so they're going to have to rely on Joe Mixon a lot while he learns. So that and all of his targets weren't there. Nico Collins was there, but the rest of them were all out. So, including Diggs, who I'm sure would love to be playing today for the Buffalo Bills, right? But anyway, any other thoughts on this one, John? How did you think your team looked? Looked like Chiefs football to me.
Yeah, we look fine. I will admit, like I said, there's that one call that they shouldn't have got.
Mm-hmm.
That was a roughing the passer that was obviously not on replay. But the first one definitely was because he made contact with the face mask, and the face mask was part of the helmet.
Yeah, it's part of the helmet. And if you're gonna, but here's the thing on that. Are you talking about where his helmet hit him in the face mask?
Yeah.
Okay, so that needs to be looked at too, because what is this guy supposed to do? Rear his head back so far that he hits his own Adam's apple on the guy's, face mask? He's coming right at him. I mean,
yeah, well,
that's incidental contact, if you ask me. He didn't lower his head. He did not do that. He was just standing straight up and went after it. Just that. Yeah,
that'll be.
I understand. I understand the rule as it's laid out. Yes, you're right. That is roughing the passer because he hit him in the face mask. It's contact to the head. But come on. I mean, what is he supposed to do? Decapitate himself before he hits him? He can't do that.
No,
he can't do that. So it's just
just something needs to be looked at.
Yeah, absolutely. But the other one, you're right. That he was dancing around behind a lineman and a couple of receivers that were blocking out there, and he was just dancing back and forth. And then he decided to go one way or the other, and at the last second, went into a slide. And the guys barely touched him. They killed each other trying to get him. It was. Nah.
Like I said,
that was intentful hurting there, Joe. That was it was their intent that mattered, not the actual action. If you're intentionally going after the quarterback, it's you can't do that against Mahomes.
See, at this point, what I'm talking about, that they need to look at this, man. When that quarterback's out of the pocket, he better slide way before somebody hits him. That was horse shit. And every time Josh Allen dances around on the sidelines, trying to wait for somebody to get open and hoping he gets hit and draws a flag, those two things, late slides and dancing around the sidelines, it's ruining a competitive game, if you ask me, when they throw those flags. It's just because you remember who were you guys playing when they threw one of those? Well, it was Houston. It was the flag where he had contact to the head. They were going to get off the field. The next play was a deep fucking ball to Kelsey on the sideline. The next play, and they were going to punt. It was 3rd and long. It's criminal. It's criminal. Those you can't tell me those kind of calls don't change football games completely.
No, they do. I
admit it's something they definitely got to look at in the offseason.
And I think Pat's been hanging around with too many soccer players, but that's just
right. But the one where it was contact to the head, that has to do with the rule itself. There is nothing a guy can do short of decapitating himself. You don't want him going low at his legs, right? You don't want him driving him into the ground.
No.
Well, that's one of the best ways you can hit him is straight up like that. And no, there's a flag for hitting him in the head. It's contact to the head.
Why do they
need to look
helmets?
at that. That's for sure. But anyway,
what's the point of helmets, anyways? Then,
what is the point of helmets if they're not protecting the player? Yeah.
At some point, it's like they're there for a reason.
Yeah. I know guys that played in this league 10, 20 years ago have got to be just sick watching what to watch on TV now. But anyway, they won, and they should have won. Some of the calls definitely changed the complexion of the game, but from what I saw out of Stroud and that bunch, he's got some learning to do, but they're on the right track. I think the Texans are on the right track. I like what their head coach is doing and everything, so that they're not going away. I think we're going to see them on Saturdays in January in the future. Okay, let's look at the next one. Now, this next one, I said that the Detroit Lions would play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and my prediction lasted the longest out of anybody on the show. Made it into the divisional round. But there's a certain rookie that just decided he didn't want. Well, actually, it wasn't the rookie. It was their defense more than anything, if you ask me. Wow. Goff made a few mistakes in this game, and they paid for it. And the rookie cashed in on those mistakes. How many turnovers did he have in this game?
Maybe
I
like
don't
3 or
remember.
4.
It was like 4 interceptions, wasn't it?
I mean, one was a pick 6.
Yeah, one. The pick 6 was ugly, man. That was bad.
I think that one was like right before the half, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They were trying to go down and do something, and he just threw a ball high into 3 white jerseys. I don't understand why he threw that ball when he had a guy right. What's his name? Portland or
Laporta,
yeah, Laporta. That's it.
the tight end.
He was underneath, wide open, and he didn't take it. He got greedy and threw a high ball to a wide receiver with 3 white jerseys around him. I was like, dude, what are you doing? It's like Goff all of a sudden regressed against this defense.
John, what are you typing over there?
I don't know what he's typing.
Sorry, I didn't realize it was that loud.
No, it's fine. But Goff made the mistakes. Washington cashed in on it, and Washington. Now I complain about Dan Gamble all the time, but God, Washington went for 4th and 1s in this game, didn't they? And cashed in every time they did it. So yeah, hats off to the Commanders, man. They showed up to play. Second playoff win in a row for Jaden Daniels and his crew. I mean, what are they saying up there in the Washington area? They're knock on talk. That must be on cloud 9 up there, man.
I don't listen to the local radio anymore since I got Sirius XM. So
okay.
Too many commercials. The commercials are like 20 minutes long, so
I got you.
I stopped listening to the regular radio. At least on XM, they're reasonable amount of ads, whereas regular is just like. There's times where I get in the car and I just drive to Central Park, the next exit down, and I don't hear anything sports. It's just ads.
It's just ads.
So,
yeah.
So I don't. I'm sure they're elated to go into the gym. And you know who? It's funny because I saw an article where what's his face? The old owner is not happy.
Dude, Dan Snyder?
Dan Snyder?
Yeah, Dan Snyder, yeah. He's rooting against Washington this weekend.
Who gives a shit what you think, fool?
It's like, I know the fans were very happy when he was gone, and it's very funny that the first year that he's gone, they're in the championship game. That's
right.
That's
now, they forced him to sell because he was racist, right? Is that what the whole thing was?
I mean, there was a myriad.
There were several things. He was under investigation for a long time, man.
Oh, was he?
Yes. That whole organization. If you remember, Gruden was fired in Oakland as a result of the investigation going on against the Washington Commanders.
Well, Snyder was putting out just a bunch of hit pieces on everybody.
Yeah.
And it was like, everybody's going down with me, and Jared Gruden got the brunt of that.
It was
But
emails
he's almost on his way to return.
Yeah, he is. He may be hired in this offseason. He might. I mean, there's still... I don't know. We're going to talk about the coaches here in a little bit.
Yeah, we're kind of running out. I don't even know who's
but,
left.
I doubt he's going to want any of the coaching jobs that are left. But that the emails that were calling him a racist were between staff members of the Washington Commanders and him when he was with the Buccaneers. Is where all that came from. It stemmed from an investigation they were doing on the Washington Commanders organization and Dan Snyder. So yeah, he was under investigation for a long time. But anyway, hats off to the Commanders and Jaden Daniels, man. Wow. We're going to talk about the rookie quarterbacks and rate them here later on and give you our thoughts on that. But this guy's got to be the cream of the crop out of all of them. And they keep bringing up his composure and how he's got ice in his veins and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, he's the closest thing you could probably have to a veteran coming out of college because he started 50 games in college, didn't he? Played for almost 5 years. So he does have a lot of experience. He's played in a lot of games. So, he's
played in a lot of big games.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of bowl games with Arizona, a lot of bowl games I think he was only with LSU like 1 year, right? He played most of his career in Arizona. But he played a lot of bowl games out there. They were a good program with him there. So anyway, the Detroit Lions, and I don't know if you guys saw the press conference with Dan Gamble after the game. Oh my gosh, that guy was emotional. It was hard for him to be up there. He had to walk off finally
I mean,
when it was all
he's
over.
always emotional, but
Yeah, but he just he he's not far removed from his playing days, and he's really empathetic with the players and everything they have to go through in a season, and he was saying as much, and he just couldn't handle it, man. And like I said, we're going to talk about the coaching vacancies and everything. He lost both of his coordinators. The future of the Detroit Lions with him at head coach is good, but will they be as good as they were? I mean, we'll see.
yeah, Philly took a step back for that year that they had lost their coordinator.
Right. When they lost their coordinators, they came out the blocks quick, but then about halfway through the season, remember, they just fell off, man. People caught up to them. But anyway, they're back, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. The next one we had was those very same Eagles against the Rams. I thought the Rams would show up better than they did. The score really wasn't indicative of the game, if you ask me. Of course, with Matthew Stafford on the team, he's going to keep firing and trying to come back, but they couldn't stop the running game. Now, they got a window there in the third quarter, and it's going to have an impact this weekend, I got a feeling, because there was one point in the game when they got to Hurts and I think he was running out of the pocket and he hurt his leg, and he couldn't move the rest of the game. Remember, they got that safety because he just could not pick him up and put him down. You know what I mean? He had to eat it.
Yeah.
Because they had put a brace on his leg. I don't know how significant the injury was. I haven't looked at the injury report or anything, but it definitely affected him in that game. Now, how his recovery went this week, we'll see early in the game. But it could play a part in today's game. But the Rams, they just I tell you what we saw in this game that really impressed me. Of course, I mean, Saquon's always impressive. He ripped off a couple of big ones. And, yeah, Saquon is – look, is there any argument he was the best free agent pickup of the offseason? I mean, My God. It's a team that already was good at running the football all of a sudden is just damn near unstoppable at running the football because they have a back like that. But the Rams, what you saw out of them, they definitely have a better front four. They've got work to do on the back end, but and the linebackers. If anything was suspect in this game, was the linebackers. They couldn't stop Saquon Barkley. They couldn't get to him. But the thing that impressed me about the Eagles is their defense, man. I mean, they really got after Matthew Stafford. They really did, and he's got a couple of quick moving wide receivers. They were blanketed, man. He didn't have anybody open all day. So hats off to the Eagles defense. I really, Saquon's great, but their defense is really what won the game for them in this one, if you ask me. Yeah. Your thoughts on this one, Knock? What did you think of this one? I know you're a big Saquon fan.
Well, yeah. It's just fun to watch him when he gets those long plays, and it really felt like the game was over with 4 minutes left, and then all of a sudden the Rams came back and scored like within a minute. And it was a game again. Like you could tell there was a lot of worry in those stands.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
the Eagles went like 3 and out and then gave it right back to them or something like that. So there was some nervous energy right after that huge play by Barkley, and then it turned around and then all of a sudden it's a 1-score game and Rams get the ball back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he threw a pick.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. But yeah, hats off to their defense. I really think the defense is what locked it down for them. What'd you think of this one, John?
Well, I thought it really showed that the Eagles are probably one of the or was at the time was probably the leading choice for who's going to make it for the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
Now Washington changed a lot of minds, and I'm personally pulling for Washington.
Mm-hmm.
But NFC is going to be tough this year.
Yep. Yeah. I was going to say, even though the crown is nice, being the king is nice. If you get through this one today, which is an if, I mean, they beat you in the regular season again, but this time it's in your house as usual. But if you make it out of that game, doesn't matter who wins the NFC Championship game, you're going to have a hard road in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about that. Yeah, it's going to be tough. Okay, so we had that one, and then the capper was, oh my gosh, man. We had what I like to call Dumb and Dumber, but it was Lamar Jackson versus what Rich Eisen likes to call the Mandalorian quarterback, Josh Allen, up in Buffalo, and the weather was bad. Which I always love. I love bad weather games in the playoffs. Yes, you want the Super Bowl to be clean and in Arizona or whatever, somewhere nice where it's not going to rain. But playoff football is just gorgeous when it's on the East Coast and just shitty weather. I think it's awesome. But I saw more of the same out of Lamar Jackson, man. The guy treats the football like a loaf of bread, and you can't do that in playoff football. The turnovers killed him. And I don't know, man. The Bills outlasted him. And I have to give it to Josh Allen. As much shit as I give him, he's not – he's playing more what would you say, efficient football. He's not trying to get the home run all the time. Yeah. He's playing to move the sticks instead of trying to make the big shot down the field all the time. And that paid off for him in this game, I think. Knock, you're a huge fan of Josh Allen, I know. And I think
because he bothers you, but so I like him to see. So
it's not that he bothers me. It's just I've seen guys like him. There's been tons of them in the league over the years that are really talented, but they like to make bad mistakes. And to his credit, like I said, he didn't make mistakes in this game. He hasn't this postseason. He hasn't tried to do that stupid throw down the field that he doesn't need to make kind of thing. So he's playing smarter football. That's good. And he's going to have to today. He's going to have to take what they give him because otherwise Spags is going to just destroy him. I mean, I don't know how many times he's got to face this team in the postseason and not understand that you have to take what's there, and that's it. This is heavyweight fighting. You have to take what's there, and that's it. But go ahead. What did you think of this game, bud?
No, it was a good game. I don't get to see very many snow games, so that's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just a good back and forth. But what crazy amount of offense in the last one. I mean, 9 points, 6 points, 6 points. There wasn't a lot going on. The defense kind of took over in the second half, but the Ravens stayed in it. But poor unfortunate Mark Andrews has drawn the ire of the fans, and with that 2-point conversion drop, very unfortunate.
And wasn't there a drop where he could have walked into the end zone before? What was the play before it where he blew it? Shoot.
I think that was earlier in the game, if I'm not mistaken. But
it's a shame. He's a really good tight end, man, and
I think Ravens fans are ready to move on and just go with likely as their tight end. So it's unfortunate because he is a beast.
He is.
Good, but that's just, man, that happens sometimes.
That's weather. That's the effect of weather on a football game. Yeah, that's it's like trying to catch a brick. I mean, and those kickers out there are kicking bricks. That's why you see a lot of missed field goals in these games. It's I felt bad for him. I did. John, what did you think of this one?
Is there another quarterback who's more overrated than Lamar Jackson?
I don't think he's overrated. I think
he had a great season.
Yeah, he
Kept him in
did,
this
but
game.
in the big game, you got to give him credit. They didn't lose because of him. He brought him back at the end. He can't catch the football, right?
No, it's not all his
He
fault.
can't do that. So I do have to give it to him. He did lead him back down the field,
He did cough it up too.
He did cough it up. He did. And that's my whole point about him. This is evident in almost every dual threat quarterback. They treat that ball like they can hold it away from the defense and everything will be fine. That's what they act like. And when it gets to this part of the season, this is when the cream of the crop shows up and says, no, if you treat that football like a loaf of bread, we're going to hit you so hard you won't be able to hang on to it, especially in bad weather. You have to have a different mentality when it's bad weather. You have to treat that ball like it's your baby and you've got to protect it. That's just the way it is. And that cost them. It definitely cost them.
Yeah. Well, this game was basically Mark Andrews' catch between that and overtime.
Yep, it was. It was one drop ball from overtime. It was. And it's a shame, But hey, that's why they play the games, right?
Yep.
The Baltimore Ravens could have easily won this game. They could have easily won it. One bounce of the football here and there. This game is exactly why my dad told me never to bet on football ever. So there we go. We had those games. And then we had the national championship game, boys and girls. On Monday evening between the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Now, I did not watch this game because I don't use the Communist News. I'm sorry, the betting. No, ESPN. Yeah, that's the name of the network, ESPN. Yeah, I don't pay for that service, so I just didn't think that would be fun to watch on their network.
Every Parlay Sports Network.
Yeah, the Every Parlay Sports Network, no doubt. But anyway, what did you guys think of the game? We'll start with John. Did you watch it? And
yeah, I watched it.
Yeah. And what did you think?
I thought for a second Notre Dame was going to do it. And then Ohio State in the second half just comes back and just ruffle stomps them. And I'm like, okay.
I heard Knox say in the thread. I think your comment was valiant effort, Notre Dame trying to come back in it.
Yeah.
They got down.
Yeah.
And made a good attempt to get back in it.
They did.
Yeah.
It's just, unfortunately, they just couldn't stop Ohio's offense, and
yeah,
they did a couple times, to make it a game. Unfortunately, it was just too much for them. It was a little too late too. So no, I think because it was looking like an Alabama Notre Dame game for a second there. It was getting pretty bad, and they
the talent was definitely on the Ohio State side. You're saying
on the offense at least. I think the defense was were pretty close, relatively close, but the Notre Dame just didn't have the offense to keep up with them too much. So it was a really impressive first. Like Riley Leonard for Notre Dame was, God, I think the first drive was like 10 minutes, 17 plays, and he ran like 9 times.
Yeah.
Damn.
And they scored a touchdown too, and I was like, that's crazy. But that's just not sustainable in a 60-minute game. So, and then they couldn't do another drive like that. In fact, Ohio did a drive like that, I think, to start the second half or something like that, to show that they can do it too or something. But no, it turned into a pretty good game, but unfortunately for Notre Dame, just not enough there. But it was a good game. It was good playoffs. They definitely got some tweaking to do on the seedings and stuff like that. But overall, I think it was a great year.
Yeah, a great year for college football, no doubt. The 12-game playoff, I think with a couple of tweaks to it, I think it's a good format for them. I did see some of those games leading up to it. And if you're gonna, I think the biggest tweak they need to make is have all of them played on a neutral field. If you're gonna give home field advantage to anybody, it should be the guys on the bye week. I would think. If you've earned a bye, you should also earn the home field advantage. I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the ones that got screwed the most was Oregon for like
Yeah.
what they didn't really get a reward for getting number one seed. I think I don't know what they need to do with the Army Navy game because that's tradition, but
Mm-hmm.
like they had 2 weeks off. And then there comes a point where there's too much time. That's why I never liked the BCS Bowl because it was literally like a month when the two teams played,
Yeah.
and that's come on, that's you can't do that. You just
Right.
can't do that. And
Mm-hmm.
so you not only and then you had some teams that didn't play in the championship game. So Ohio didn't play in it. Notre Dame or Ohio didn't play in the championship game, and yet they had like the relatively easiest paths. Notre Dame had Indiana. They had I think did they play Georgia? I can't remember off the top of my head, but Georgia wasn't. I can't remember if it was
Indiana.
Penn
Let's
State
see.
or I can't remember if it was Penn State or Notre Dame that had Georgia, but Georgia was backup quarterback. They had no receivers. Their defense
Mm-hmm.
was kind of solid, but not the same defense as they normally have. But and then Ohio, they had now they had Tennessee in the first round, so that was pretty decent. But then they had um, and then they had Oregon, who hadn't played in 3 weeks, kind
Mm-hmm.
of thing. So it 2 3 weeks. So I don't know. I feel like Oregon kind of got screwed in that whole thing, especially not being able to play at home. And
Right.
there wasn't much of a reward. You get to play Ohio, which was, you could say they're like the number two team in the country going into the polling. So
Mm-hmm.
I felt like they got screwed the most out of all of them. So I don't know how they fix it exactly, but I think it definitely needs to be something needs to be changed. And then they got other things they got to change too, like the transfer portal. Like
Yeah. Now that's the biggest thing to me. That's got to go after the season. There's a reason why they don't have free agency right now or the trade thing right now at all in the NFL. None. Well, they do have free agency now. You can pick up people that aren't on other teams. Okay, right now they can fill holes in the roster. Say
Yeah.
they lose somebody in the championship game and they want to fill that hole. Yeah, they can pick up a free agent and plug that hole if they want to. But
if that
as
player's already available, because I don't think
right, if he's
if someone
available, if
left the
he's
team,
already on the free agent list, right?
I think if they left the team like right now, if Lamar Jackson
Yeah.
left the team,
No, it
he
has to
couldn't
be
go
somebody
to
that's
another team.
already a free agent. Yes. Before the playoffs start. But the other thing is, there's no trades right now. That doesn't start until well into the off season. So you're right. I think that portal has to go beyond the championship game. I think it has to be after that. They have to change where that
Yeah, because
goes.
it goes into two different things. One, like, because I can't remember if it was Penn State's or Notre Dame's backup,
Yeah.
but they weren't even going to play
Yeah.
if their starting quarterback went down because they were in the transfer portal. So
Yeah.
that kind of situation isn't right. And then two, um, uh, yeah,
Hi, Brian. We see you there, man. Brian says this is a
yeah,
tailgate. Where's
you
the
distracted
beer
me
and
with that, and
barbecue?
I forgot my point. So my second point.
It's okay. It's okay. Let's see. And girls in short shorts, we need those. But yeah, you were talking about the backups and things like that. Um,
Oh,
it's
yeah, yeah,
difficult.
and then the other thing is if they're gonna be paying these players, right? They need to make it. They need to give them contracts, right? If we're gonna start treating them like professionals, they need to be contract, and then it needs to be stipulated in their contract that they need to play throughout the whole season, and that
Yeah,
includes bowl games.
right.
Yeah.
And most of the time, you don't really need it for playoffs, but if they're transferring, they don't think they're gonna be started next year in that same team, they're not gonna play in the playoffs potentially. And
Right.
so I think they need to make it so that when they do these contracts, they need to stipulate, hey, you're playing every game. There's no sitting out BS, unless they're you could kind of, and this is where they would have to like negotiate it, but you can see if they're going to go first round in the NFL. that might be a little different.
That's different. Sitting out is different from changing teams. That's a different thing. If you were gonna go first round in the NFL, of course you wouldn't want to get killed in the Independence Bowl and have a knee get shredded. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But when it comes to national championships and stuff like that, I mean, do you put something in the contract that says if you make the 12-team playoff, you have to play? I mean, do you put something like that in there? Yeah, I mean, you're messing with guys' livelihoods down the road. But then again, they are getting paid like professionals in college now. So
they sign a contract. They don't have to. They negotiate.
They don't have to sign the contract, do they? Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's
well, there's another effect of the transfer portal, and that's on your teammates.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you don't want to play with us anymore, so you're going to go fuck off. Okay, well, we don't want to play with you anymore either.
Yeah. This whole thing with the transfer portal, man. Oof. Let me tell you something. There's a reason why Nick Saban saw this coming and said, fuck this, I'm out of here. Because he knew that schools like Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame, these programs that have got money out the yang, okay? More money than they know what to do with, to hire coaches, to get players. If they're going to be paying players, well, these guys are going to pay the best players. Look, we had an example of a guy that had committed to LSU. One of the best, the top quarterback prospect in the country. Okay, I don't remember the kid's name, but my brother was bitching about it when it happened. He's going to Michigan now because they were willing to pay him more.
Yeah.
And he had already committed to LSU. It's just, and I kind of laugh inside every time I hear these people bitching about, these players getting paid now and stuff like that. I'm like, you told me for years they played for the love of the game. They don't play for money.
I'll tell you, decommits is something that always happened. It just wasn't as relevant because of the money not being involved.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It's put a magnifying glass on it now, though.
Yeah,
now.
Definitely. It definitely has.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. As far as the transfer goes, like, I get what you're saying with the teammates thing, but also, some of these guys won't even go to the NFL.
Yeah.
So
look,
if
75% of the rosters on these college teams are not going to the NFL.
Carson Beck was looking at the draft and was like, or I can go to Miami, where he's going to get $10 million, which is more than most of the rookies are getting right now.
Right.
Daniels, Bo Nix, he's making more this year than they are this year in the NFL.
Most of the guys that are quarterbacking in college football right now are making more than Brock Purdy.
Yeah, that poor guy. He's like,
it's crazy.
And what's crazy about that is they don't really need to pay him. They could just go on to another quarterback because I mean, it's a system. It's a system quarterback there.
Yep.
Not
hey,
saying
Lord
he's
Toth,
special,
I see you. I'm going to bring up the Raiders here in a second. I hear you there, man. Look, when it comes to, but basically the setup this year, I think is good. It just needs some tweaks, and they definitely need to look at that transfer portal and rented lips. Contract negotiations with these kids when they set up contracts with them to play for their schools. You're right.
I do hope. Sorry, Joe.
No, it's fine. Go.
I do hope that they come up with a NFLPA though, because they need something to watch out. Because they also need to start cracking down on these damn what do you want to call them? Rent-a-talent agents. These ones that are taking 20% and some bullshit from these contracts, right? They're like, I can, because what they're doing, and I was here, what I have been listening to is college radio, CBS radio, college football on the radio. But they were talking about how these guys, what they're doing is they're reaching out to a player, and they're saying, okay, well, I can get you this from this school, right? And then they reach out to that school and try to get that. And then they'll reach out to other schools to say, well, they're playing this, and so what can you offer? And then, boom, he goes back to the player, and he's like, hey, I can get you $10 million right now. and boom, they get 20% of that.
Right.
Like there's no oversight on these agencies right now
Yeah.
in college, whereas in the NFL, they're lucky to get 3%.
And
like
that's
max.
that's all
max.
because of the Players Association. You're right.
Right.
They need
So
to,
I'm really hoping that they create something like that for the college players. Because
Right.
one, standardize the agency and realize, hey, you guys are losing out a lot of money from these freaking blood sucking, agents that have no oversight right now. So there's a lot to work on with this whole stuff. So,
but immediately to improve what they did this year, I think the neutral site has to be looked at for every round.
I feel like that too. Yeah,
I think
for sure.
That's the biggest fix they can do. And I've said for years, they've got so many damn bowl games. Why not just highlight some of these bowls? You know,
that Pop-Tart Bowl is getting more and more popular.
Come on, man, have
year.
that be in the first round of the playoff, right?
They had the ghost of last year's Pop-Tart, blueberry Pop-Tart in the stands, and it was the funniest picture that I'd ever seen. Like,
well, look it up and show it to us later on, man. That's cool.
I only have my one monitor. I don't.
Okay, it's fine.
With stuff. But it was funny. They had the 3 this year, the 3 different flavors that they chose from, and then while they were, they had like a little stage with them presentation wise. They had in the stands up in the high risers, like the highest part of the stands that nobody was sitting in. They had the ghost of last year's Pop-Tart, like his discombobulated body up in the stands, like just all by himself,
sitting up there like Sting during the wrestling match, like the Crow, right? Just looking down.
They're so funny with that dude, and there's a bunch of them. Tony the Tiger Bowl is pretty good, and stuff like that. So
that's what's fun about college. The college stuff. They're still kids. You're
Potato
doing fun
Bowl,
stuff.
The
mascots
Potato Bowl,
and everything.
The Mayo Bowl is the worst one. That's just to get doused in mayo. Some of them are like Potato Bowl. They get French fries or Cheez-Its. Mayo Bowl. Oh, that's. I think Minnesota got it this year, but no, you're right. They have plenty of bowls to go around.
Yeah, they do, and they need. I would say highlight some of the smaller bowls with the first round and put them on neutral fields. Either that, you have to do that, or you've got to give home field advantage to the bye week guys. One of the two. You got to balance it somehow.
It definitely feels like Notre Dame and Ohio both had home field advantage, right? And then they went to an opponent that had weeks off and was rusty coming out the gate. So it definitely felt like the home teams had the
on a neutral field, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think the bye week guys deserve.
Whereas if you swap
home field advantage, if anybody's going to get it,
right? Yeah. I agree. I think that should just pretty much just be swapped.
Yeah, either that or make it all on neutral fields. That'll make it an even playing field for everybody. Okay, so we had all of that great football in those 3 days, and then we have what's been going on with the coaching searches and the hires with all the teams. Now, I have an article here. I don't want you to pay attention to the numbers. It's just it's one where I could consolidate all of them, and I wouldn't have to change screens every 5 seconds. It's rating. This says it's ranking. Hang on a second. Let me put it up here. It's ranking all the 6 of the NFL coaches and who has made the best hires. But I'm not even concerned with that. I don't want to look at the numbers or anything. We just want to look at who has changed hands and why and all that good stuff. The Dallas Cowboys were the last to hire their coach, and all they did was promote from within. They hired Brian Schottenheimer, son of a great NFL coach. I think, John, would you agree with me that he is the one that brought the winning mentality back to Kansas City after years of being a bad team? His dad, Marty Schottenheimer, when he took over the Chiefs, they were a bad football team, and he brought them back to the winning mentality. Now, after that, they had a couple of other coaches that kept it going, but and of course they've had the most success with Reed, but they were a really bad team before this guy's dad showed up,
And Marty's problem was he couldn't close the deal.
Yeah, well, that was everywhere. I mean, the closest he's got with his Cleveland Browns teams, and we all know that Elway did them in a couple of times in a row. I really believe if Ernest Biner doesn't fumble that football in that second one, they go on to win the Super Bowl that year. But that's just me. I mean, that he had great teams with Cleveland, and he had really good teams with Kansas City too. But Anyway,
Go
Brian
friggin' Montana.
Schottenheimer's been the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys for the last year. Well, actually, has it been 2 years? Is it 2 years Kellen Moore's been gone?
Whenever they left Kellen Moore, yeah, because Kellen Moore
Yeah.
went to the Chargers, and then after 1 year he went.
Yeah,
to
so
Eagles.
he's been doing it for 2 years now. Yeah, so all this hire tells me now, guys. I hate it for you Cowboys fans out there. I
don't,
really do.
But yeah,
Because all this tells me is Jerry Jones is going to continue to be the general manager of the team, and you're not going anywhere. He's more concerned with selling jerseys than he is championships. Okay, the guy has the richest friggin' sports franchise on the planet, and he's happy with that and happy with taking all that money in. And he thinks he can will this team to a friggin' championship, and it's just not. That's total narcissism. I don't want to hear anything else about coaching hires for the Cowboys until I think I told you guys this in the thread. Number one, I hear he's hired a GM and is taking his hands off the football operations. I might start listening then. The other one is if, this is who's taking over the football operations after Mr. Jones has passed away. That's the only time I want to hear anything about NFL coaching from the Cowboys, because this just tells me, hey, and God love him. I'm sure Schottenheimer thinks this is an opportunity. Buddy, this is not an opportunity. The same thing's going to happen to you to everybody else that's been in that position. It's going to be a blemish on your career. Believe it.
What did I say? 5-12.
Yeah. Jeez, man, nuts, unbelievable. Knock, what did you think of this one?
I don't know. I don't know anything about him. So,
well, you know what the Cowboys' offense has been for the last 2 years. You do know that. So.
Yeah, I mean it's been fine. Anytime one side does good, the other side does bad. So and then. Every once in a while they'll start really good, but then Dak will get hurt, and then that's pretty much the end of the season. So I don't see this being any different.
Yeah. I don't know, man. He needs to take his hands off of things. Of course, we've been saying it for years. I mean, I'm sure they were saying the same thing in Washington when Dan Snyder was the coach. These guys, Al Davis with the Raiders. I mean, it's just these guys are so narcissistic. They think they know better than any other football guy there is, and they just don't, And yeah, okay. Next one we had. What is it with the members of my Super Bowl winning Seahawks crew? They keep going to play our hated rivals for our hated rivals, man. I mean, we had Russell Wilson going to Pittsburgh, which is the guys that beat us in our first Super Bowl. Couldn't believe that shit. And then now I've got Pete Carroll's going to be the head coach of the Raiders. Trust me, if you're a Seahawks fan and you've been a Seahawks fan for years, there's nobody you hate more than the Raiders. I mean, that's Lord. But yeah, it's a good hire. This has got Tom Brady's fingerprints all over it. I'm sure he reached out to him after Belichick turned him down. I'm sure. And we all know Pete Carroll is going to make them competitive. That's for sure. They're not going to be an easy out. They may not have a killer record right off the bat, but once he gets his program in place, they're going to be competitive. We all know you can't spell compete without Pete, right? And that's the way that's his mantra. He's basically got the mantra of a boxing guy, just keep punching, Do you guys, this is in your division. Now, look at your division now. Every one of the coaches in that division have won championships at some level in football.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 of them have won Super Bowls, and Jim Harbaugh is not far removed from a national championship.
Nope.
So.
And he's been to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and he's been to a Super Bowl. This is going to be one tough division for a long time. And this is what happens when you've got a team like the Chiefs. Every other team in that division has to up their game, right?
Yeah.
A rising tide lifts all boats, I guess you would say. But they're the last to really get to this level of coaching, I think. And they've been swapping between coaches oh God, franchise killers really. Josh McDaniels was the last one before Antonio Pierce.
He
But
went back to New England, by the way.
yeah, right. So Pete Carroll coming in. What do you think of this one, John?
I think it's going to make our division better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You got a better opponent there. It's definitely going to give you make you stronger come playoff time.
Yeah.
Yep. Doc,
and who knows? We might end up with all four of us, all four in the AFC West in the playoffs.
When that happens, well, first of all, it can happen. It can happen.
And now with the added
wild card team, it can happen. But man, if that ever did happen, I'd be like, shit. You know.
And it'd be even funnier if none of them won the Super Bowl if all four made it. How devastating would that be?
I mean, we had 3 teams from the North Division.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
we had 3.
They didn't even make it through the divisional round.
Right. Yep.
But no, I mean, I'm not worried about it. I don't think he's anything special. This guy, he had a couple.
Sounds like some Denver hate coming through there, but that's.
I just don't think he's going to do much for him. I think. I mean, hey, who has gone to the Raiders and succeeded in the last 20 years? So
it's true. It's been like the Cowboys' job, like the Washington job.
The Raiders are where you go to retire, and you know, if you're a wide receiver, it's where you go to die. But you know, and you know, if you're a coach there, it's where you go to get fired. So I don't know. The Raiders will get rid of him even if he gets 8-9 or 9-8 or whatever. So that's just what they do. So it's gonna be a while for they're good again.
Yeah. Okay, so we got Pete Carroll with the Vegas Raiders. I can't believe I'm saying Vegas and a football team in the same breath. Yikes. Next up, we got Aaron Glenn going home to the place where he played most of his career, the New York Jets. He is the new head coach of the New York Jets. It's funny, you know, they keep hiring defensive head coaches with New York. It's where they've seen their best success. I mean, let's face it, the best success they've had in the last few years, the last couple of decades, was Bill Parcells. He got them to the AFC Championship game with a really good defense, you know. After that, you had one of the Ryan brothers was there.
Rex Ryan.
Yeah. Rex got him to...
2 of them with Mark Sanchez as the quarterback.
Yeah, with Mark Sanchez. I was going to say both of them didn't have great quarterbacks. Now, I will give Parcells. Chad Pennington was up here. He was Peyton Manning. He just didn't have the physical skills, but he was a really smart quarterback
and got hurt a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I
man of glass.
Time.
Yes, absolutely.
I always rooted for him, but he just never made it through a season.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The Jets haven't had a strong offense since Joe Namath.
No, they haven't.
I don't know. Brett Favre did pretty good.
No.
He did all right.
They went like 8-6 or something like that one year.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And do we think he's going to have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback? Aaron hasn't said anything about retiring, but I don't know.
Aaron's got to go into a black hole for 3 days and decide his future and ponder a lot. So we won't find out until a week before training camp.
Yeah. I don't know. I like it for the Jets. This guy, I think, is going to bring the same kind of energy that Dan Campbell brought to the Lions. He's an ex-player, and he knows how to relate to those guys. I mean, if there is an MVP on that coaching staff, it has to be Aaron Glenn. With the number of injuries that defense had this year, they were still effective right up until they lost out in the end. And I kept hearing, you know, they were saying during the game against Washington, he needs to adjust. He needs to go to zone. And I'm like, man, look, you know, he's using guys that they picked up off the practice squad. He's probably just trying to keep it simple for him, you know, just making them plaster and blitz the guys, you know. I mean, it's, you know, there wasn't much he could do. But, you definitely got to give it to him. He with all the injuries, they still had a 15-2 season.
Mhm.
So, that defense was a big component of almost every game they played. So, I think it's a good hire. I think this one's a good hire. I just hope he's not leaving the coordinator part too soon. That's the only thing I worry about with him. But he's going to bring the same kind of Dan Campbell energy to the Jets. They're once again, they're not going to be an easy out. Of course, they haven't been though. The Jets. I think Robert Saleh was a good coach, and I think they shouldn't have fired him. But this is one thing in common. All these teams have is the ownership group, and all these teams is not very good. Okay, I'm not saying they don't have the money. All these guys have money, but when it comes to football decisions, they're not very good at making top end decisions for their franchises. But I think this is a good one for him. I hope he does well there. I liked Aaron Glenn, even though I was a Patriots fan. He was always somebody I respected on the football field because he's really good at what he did. He'd always shut down the best player on their team. It was pretty cool. Okay, next one we've got is Patriots fans are very happy with the hire that Robert Kraft made this time around. Pretty much, I think this was set up by the interview he did with the New York Jets before they hired Aaron Glenn. I'm pretty sure that's when Mr. Kraft said, you know what? We don't need to be playing against Vrabel. He needs to come home. So let's go ahead and fire Gerard Mayo and let's get him in house and get
Makes
things
no
rolling.
sense because they could have done this already. They could have
Right.
done it last year instead of
Right.
embarrassing Mayo. I think this is stupid.
Well, okay. You got Mr. Kraft thought he had a good system in place. This had, by the way, this had been in place for years. They were grooming Gerard Mayo to take over for Bill Belichick. They had been, and
which makes it even worse. But okay,
which makes it even worse. Yes, but you got to give it to him. He recognized he made the wrong decision doing that, and whenever he saw that he was going to have to play this guy, he was like, "Nah, let's just get him in here, and let's make the change now before we have to suffer through a bunch of embarrassing seasons." So, Patriots fans are very happy. I can tell you that right now. The Patriot way will be back. His locker room will be accountable, and this is. I tell you, the team that doesn't like this, that's the Buffalo Bills. They don't like this at all. Believe that. John, what did you think of this hire for the Patriots?
I thought it was the best move they could make.
Yeah.
Vrabel played for us, so I'm always,
Yeah. He's got a soft spot for him. Yep.
Yeah, I've always been a fan. I was a
just
fan
like the Saints.
Player.
The Saints, just to put an exclamation point on that, the Saints love Scott Fujita, but Browns fans still claim him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because he played for him forever. Yeah, go ahead.
But I think it's also gonna change their mindset, and they're gonna go from being a more offensive based team to a defensive based team.
Yep. Mm-hmm. For sure. Yep. He's already hired the usual suspect, one of the best offensive coordinators in the league, but one of the worst franchise-killing head coaches, Josh McDaniels, back in house as the offensive coordinator. So, the Patriot way is definitely back there. Knock, what do you think, man?
I think it's silly that teams only give a coach 1 year to change everything about it. I think they should have just did this last year with Vrabel and got it over with. They could have brought Josh McDaniels back during the season once he got fired. I don't get it. I think it's stupid. I don't see that much going on for them. I think he was an okay coach. You guys have a soft spot for him. I don't. I think this is he was okay for the Titans. I mean, they made a couple. They didn't really go anywhere in the playoffs. They made the playoffs a few times. I think they got number 1 seed 1 year, but nothing was ever impressive on offense. He had Derrick Henry, so I mean, of course the offense is going to be working, and defense did all right, but it never mattered in the playoffs. So this isn't the most impressive hire for me.
I will point out that he beat Brady's Patriots in the playoffs. I will point
Okay,
that out.
a guy that he knows very well, so he could scheme to him. Sure, okay, he could be one guy. Um, but I mean, it's just I don't know. I don't see much going on with them. The whole Patriot Way thing. You're telling me Gerard Mayo, the guy that basically was in there forever, didn't know the Patriot Way? That doesn't make sense to me. I I don't get why he capitulates, the Patriot Way more than Gerard Mayo did. And that Patriots team was in games last year. So I mean, it's not like they were the worst team ever. They just didn't have as much
No.
talent. But he only had 1 year. Like, what the hell can he do in 1 year? He just
Mhm.
got a rookie quarterback. Not all rookie quarterbacks are going to be, Jaden Daniels. Right off the bat, Shroud
Right.
their first year. It's not always going to happen. And even
Mhm.
then, had things, but he had no he had no weapons. I
Yeah.
mean, even Jaden Daniels has, McLaurin. He has some, what's it, Ertz. Ertz is
Mhm.
their tight
I
end.
was going to say the
He's
tight
older,
end's
but
name. Yeah. Mhm.
he's still a decent player. So he has some weapons, and yeah, he has more faculties.
Yeah.
But
Drake May had nothing.
he
I
had
can't
nothing.
even name
He
a
had
receiver on that
nothing,
team. Yeah.
nothing, and they still did, okay. But yeah,
Mhm.
I don't. Yeah, the whole 1 year coach thing just makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
So I don't really care for this.
I'm with you.
Especially when
They
they could have
should have
gotten last
done
year.
this last year. They should have done this
So
last year.
that's why I don't really care for this one. But
Well,
hey, we'll see what happens.
I think, like I said, I think when he interviewed with the Jets, that's when they decided to make this move because they didn't want to have to play against him. And I see it totally differently about his time in Tennessee, buddy. He was building something that was going to be pretty good there. And I will tell you that two of his best players played in the divisional round last week, and one of them's playing against Washington today. So, he was the guy that groomed these
Yeah.
guys at the beginning. So I'm talking about King Henry and A.J. Brown. Uh, Matter of fact, you've heard me talk about it. I'm still bitching at the Tennessee organization because I'm a closet case Tennessee fan because of the Oilers, and they totally screwed things up with Vrabel when they traded AJ Brown or let him go. I can't remember if they traded him or just let him hit the street for the Eagles to get. But yeah, when they did that, they pretty much lost Mike Vrabel because he had,
I think they could made AJ Brown's price is what it was.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he wanted him to stay. That was his guy, and when he was gone, I pretty much knew then that he was on his way out because he was pretty pissed about it. He wasn't verbal about it, but he had said all that year, as long as I'm the head coach of this team, AJ Brown will be with us. And when that didn't happen, you could read the tea leaves. He was on his way out the door. And then shortly after that, yeah, it just went bad after that. You could tell that, and I keep talking about mental pygmies at the quarterback position. Wow, there is not a bigger one than Ryan Tannehill. Okay, and he was saddled with that guy. So these things kind of ran him out of that place. So anyway, I like this move. I know, not everybody does, but I dig him. I can't wait to watch him and what he does with the Patriots. Next one, we got Liam Cohen going from the Buccaneers offensive coordinator to the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach. Okay, a couple of things here. First of all, there's a little bit of controversy. The Buccaneers are not happy with this guy right now. For some reason, I think he's committed to staying there or something like that. And then he went and straight up lied to him, basically, and went to the Jaguars.
Well, I thought they pulled the offer too.
I
Which
don't
is a
know.
weird
Did they?
thing.
I'm not sure.
I don't pay much attention to Jaguars.
Yeah, I don't either. But
And I don't
here's
know
the
who this guy
thing.
is, so.
Yeah. The two jobs that we're talking about, the last two here, they're jobs with an ownership group that neither one of them really know what they're doing. I mean, you've got guys like like the Davis family and the Joneses that are just narcissistic and think they know more than anybody. And then you have people that are just inept at it, and that's Shad Khan and his son with Jacksonville and the guys that own the Bears. They just don't know what the hell they're doing. They just don't, And I don't know, man. This job right here, I don't know if I'd want to take on the Jaguars. That's a mess to deal with right there. But hey, if the money's right, hey, why not? You know what I'm saying?
They're just waiting to move. They're just waiting to move to London.
Right. John, what do you think of this one?
I'm not sold on it. I don't think he has. I mean, seriously, what's the supermodel going to do? I mean, he's
right. That's the thing. They paid that guy all this money, and now you're the second quarterback guru that's going to come in here and try and fix him.
Yeah.
Do you want that job? I mean,
he doesn't. And the thing is, who was Liam Cohen? Was he Brady's OC?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up. I'm not sure, but let's see, Tampa Bay.
But
let's look him up real quick and find out. Let's look him up real quick and find out.
Yeah,
coach. Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2024, 1 year.
Yeah, 1 year.
1 year with Baker Mayfield. Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
So.
And let me emphasize that before we move on to knock. He had Baker Mayfield as a quarterback. Was it him or Baker Mayfield? Baker Mayfield's been there for a couple of years and got him in the playoffs without this guy.
Yeah.
And then he didn't make, I mean, wow. I don't know. This may be too quick for this guy. I don't know. Knock, what do you think of this one?
I don't know. I don't know anything about him. So I don't know. I don't know what the Jags are doing with this, what they're trying to achieve with this guy. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really matter if they can't fix Lawrence, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're stuck with Lawrence, right?
The Jags just seem so irrelevant right now, and it's just they're
because of their ownership group. Wouldn't you agree, Knock?
Just everything. I mean, I don't care for their quarterback with the shiny hair. Good on him. But other than that, just not enough there. They had that one good year where they came back against the Chargers, and that's it. That's what they staked his entire contract on, was that one game. So, and it hasn't paid off at all. So, yeah. This is why I always think there should be more incentive-based contracts than there are guaranteed. But there you go. That's just
right.
the way the NFL is. You lure them your way with guaranteed money than anything else. So if someone's willing to offer it, until they say enough is enough and let's go to an incentive-based across the board, they would all have to agree to it in order for it to work.
Yeah.
And I just don't see that happening, especially with
the guaranteed money thing has killed a couple of franchises. This one in particular, the other one's the Browns that I look at, man.
And it's not that like it's not like that. Some of them deserved it, right? Some of that. Mm-hmm. There's no question in my mind that Mahomes has earned his contract, right?
Right. Joe Burrow's earned his contract, right?
Right.
Yeah.
They've earned their. There's definitely players that have earned their contract, but they could have still earned all that money if they were incentive based by doing what they did, and then making more money because of it. So I feel
how much has Mahomes adjusted his contract to help keep players there or to bring people in?
Well,
right. Hold that thought real quick, guys. Hold that thought. Lord Thoth is on his way out. Good to see you. And we have to say hi to our fella who likes to show up and say hi, and nobody knows his name.
There are some who call me Tim.
Tim is here, and he says, "Go Bills!" And hail, by the way. It's good to see you. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. Continue with your thoughts.
Well, I feel like at a certain point you make enough money that yeah, you can kind of lower your price a little bit, especially when you're talking like endorsements. You know, Tom Brady had a rich wife. You know, which is why he was able to do stuff like that. When you don't have that kind
What
of
Knox talking about is Tom Brady notoriously took less money when he signed contracts, so they would get better players to play with him. So,
but they're
yeah,
also
go
going to
ahead.
play for 20 years, you know.
Mhm.
So the
Yeah.
quarterbacks have a little longer shelf life than some other
Yeah.
players do.
Right.
When it comes to that, because you look at running backs, you get maybe one good contract,
Yeah.
maybe, and it's
Mhm.
been a lot less lately. But you know, Barkley and Henry are kind of like, okay, we
Barkley
get
and
together.
Henry are kind of changing the story there. But then
Yeah.
again, how many running backs are standing out like those two? That's, you've got
Well, I
good
mean, they don't
backs.
get a chance to. They don't.
Yeah.
I feel like they
Mhm.
don't get a chance to stand out
Mhm.
anymore. They've
Yeah.
been deemed replaceable.
Right.
And unless you're just a ridiculous specimen, you
Mhm.
know, yeah. So, but yeah, I feel like you can. And it's funny because of the market of QBs, um, Mahomes is probably like one of the least paid at this point between the highest paid,
Yeah.
ones. Just because, I mean, but at the time he had gotten a
Monster
10-year
contract.
deal.
What is it, 10 years?
It was $500 million
Quarter
at the
million
time.
dollars or something like
No,
Yeah.
that?
half a bill,
Yep.
and
Crazy
so that
numbers.
was great.
Yeah.
But now by today's standard, that's not
No.
It's not ridiculous.
No, it's
it's not
not.
ridiculous anymore because some are getting 50 over 50 plus to 60. You know, so
Yeah.
but also the cap is getting higher too. So that it's
Mhm.
been upping up every single year.
That's part of the reason why. Yeah. Mhm. Yep. Okay. Well, the last one we've got to talk about is one of those generational talents like the supermodel. And that would be Ben Johnson going to the Chicago Bears. Ben Johnson, of course. Now, this is a proven commodity at offensive coordinator. Let me put that in quotes, and as an offensive coordinator, because we all have been enjoying the Lions offense for the last 3 years. It's been something special to watch. His trick plays and so forth are a lot of fun to see. I mean, even in the loss they had against Washington, that one play where they lateraled it to the running back and then he shovel passed it to another guy. I think it was a wide receiver coming inside on kind of an inside screen thing. I had never seen anything like that before. He's a great offensive mind, is my point.
Yeah.
We had to rewatch
And
that play just to understand what the hell happened.
right, you had to rewatch
That
it a
was
couple of
such a weird play.
times.
I can't comprehend what I just saw, so I need to see that again.
Right. Even Tom Brady, who was calling the game, said, "I have never seen anything like that before." That guy played a lot of
I
football.
bet you Reed was like, "Oh my god."
Right. What can I
need-
do with this?
Yeah, what can I do?
Right.
This
Sit down.
we got room for so much activities with this.
See,
Oh
Mahomes-
man, too fucking funny.
Mahomes
But
to
anyway,
Kelsey to Pacheco.
right. So I say that because we've seen great offensive minds take over a head coaching gig and not do so well. Josh McDaniels has destroyed two different franchises, not one, two, in the AFC West. And I don't wish that on him. I'm just saying there's precedent there. Another great offensive coordinator is fixing to go for a three-peat, and that's Andy Reid. Okay,
Yeah.
He is a great offensive coordinator, and he's a fantastic head coach. So, is this guy one of those guys? Well, he's got a dude to coach up that we saw flashes this year of why he was drafted number one. He can do some amazing things, especially the way the thing that impressed me about Caleb Williams the most is how accurate he is throwing on the run. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous how accurate he is doing that. But he's definitely got to get coached up. His pocket awareness is not good at all. He's got the mentality of a Lamar Jackson that thinks he can carry it like a loaf of bread and extend plays and everything. When what you want your quarterback doing first and foremost is learning the pocket, learning how to stay in there, let your guys work for you, and deliver the ball. But
He's also a diva. He needs to drop that.
And what was that, Knox? Go ahead.
That was to me.
That was me. I said he's also a diva, and he needs to drop that.
Oh, you're talking about Caleb.
Caleb, yeah.
Good luck with that. That's just I don't think you can coach that out of people. I think
ban his mom from going to the games.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that would work.
I think he has to be humbled enough for that to change. But I don't know. Some of the trends I saw on that team this year, once again, their ownership group, that's the biggest question for this bunch, because they could have fired Eberflus and brought somebody in like this to begin with before they even started the season. And once they started losing it, and this guy started complaining, all of a sudden Eberflus.
Damn, John, slow down there, buddy.
So,
I'm hungry.
He's using two hands over there, man. My God.
But anyway, I'm rooting for this guy. I loved what I saw out of the Detroit offense. I hope he does well there in Chicago. John, what do you think of this one? Good hire for the Bears?
I think it's probably the best that was on the market that they could have gotten.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy got a job last year if he wanted it.
Yeah. I think that they're if there's anybody that can coach up that's available anyway, Caleb Williams is probably him.
Yeah. Look what he did with Goff. I mean, that division game, that was bad, and that was on Goff. Really was. But the games that got him there, I saw so much improvement in Goff, it wasn't even funny. And I was his biggest critic when he played for the Rams, man. I really was. I did not like the way he played at all. So, yeah. Knock, what do you think of this one?
I think it's funny that they had that article a few weeks ago, Caleb Williams in the text message from Ben Johnson, but it was like a group of teens or whatever that were fishing him, catfishing him, and then now he actually gets them. So I wondered if he confirmed, that he was getting text from this coach this time around. How he was like, he got the hey, this is Ben Johnson again. He's like, yeah, right, just hangs up on him. Like, no, he's actually your coach now. I imagine that was an interesting phone call.
I'm sure.
I don't trust you, kind of thing. And,
right.
But I don't know. I mean, it's going to take a bit to get Caleb up there. I still think he's a whiny baby, and
it's the mental side he definitely has to work on. The physical skills are there. Yeah, they are. It's the mental side they got to work on.
I mean, I don't know. There were too many times where he's just like, dude, get rid of the ball, do something with it, and he just held on, then ran around and did nothing with it. So,
you can say the same thing about Stroud, though. You could say the same thing about him. So we'll see what happens.
Stroud's too emotional. I've said that the whole time.
I just hope this guy doesn't get sunk by, number one, the quarterback, number two, the poor ownership group.
Yeah.
Because I like this guy. I want to see him succeed. I love what he did with Goff and that offense, with Sonic and Knuckles. I mean, look, guys, they're out now, but my gosh, how much fun was watching the Detroit Lions play these last couple of years. Oh,
do you know what coaching tree he came from?
Don't tell me, Andy Reid.
No, I was asking. I don't know.
Oh, no, I don't. I don't know where he's come from. Go ahead and do the research and find out. But I dig some Ben Johnson. I like his offense. I think it's really cool because it's kind of like Sean Payton.
Because I wouldn't trust anything coming from Andy Reid's offensive side.
Might be Sean Payton. I don't know because a lot of the same components. Everything's built on the running game, just like Sean Payton. So I wouldn't be surprised if he had coached under Sean Payton at some point. So
he's part of. Looks like he came from through the Walsh, Holmgren, Sherman.
So he is part of the Reid coaching tree. Yeah, it is. Yeah, the Bill Walsh. If Bill Walsh is at the top of that tree, he's West Coast offense all the way. And they run the football first and foremost, man.
I
That's
don't.
what they
I don't
do.
consider Reed West Coast anymore. He's not West Coast anymore. at all.
No, you're right. It's definitely a read offense now because
Yeah.
I like to call Reed's offense the mad scientist screen offense. It's just he finds more
Yeah,
ways
but-
to get screens going than any person I've ever seen. It's ridiculous, man.
Except for Sean Payton and
yeah.
Josh McDaniels.
Right?
I can't tell you how many fucking screens I had to deal with during the Josh.
Oh yeah,
McDaniels,
big time.
Every other tweet was screen, failed screen, failed screen. Hey, that screen didn't work. Let's do it again. Oh my god, it was so annoying.
All right. So, boys and girls, our next discussion, since we finished up on Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, he went number 1 in the draft this year, and there was 5 other quarterbacks. There were 5 quarterbacks altogether, I think. Hang on a second.
Well, there's 6, but one of them got hurt in the preseason. So
That's right. One of them
it's
we
kind
never
of,
saw.
Kind of an incomplete.
Right.
Can't really
That's
grade.
yeah.
Looked good in the
McCarthy is the
preseason.
one that's incomplete. Yeah. He was drafted by the Vikings.
Mhm.
But what we're going to talk about now is we're going to rank the other 5 and how they did. And the names we're talking about are Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Drake May, and Penix. Michael Penix, right? Isn't Michael?
Yeah.
Okay. These were the 5 guys that were drafted, and I think that's the order they were drafted in too, I believe. Wasn't Drake May 3rd? I think he was, to the Patriots, yeah. Okay, so let's begin with well, it's good to be the king. Let's give the king the first word on this. Who do you think did the best out of all of those rookies?
Jason Daniels. No question.
Yeah. And I
think that's going to be pretty much unanimous from there.
I
yeah.
think that's going to be unanimous
Yeah,
too.
and Bo Nix is number 2, and Drake May's number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Penix, he didn't get a chance to do anything until the end of the season. So could he have been higher up if he got a chance earlier in the season? Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And Caleb Williams is he would be 4 right now, but like I said, it's possible that Penix could have been a better player than Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So your order is this: Jaden, Bo Nix, Drake May,
Yep.
Caleb Williams, and Michael Penix.
And
I'd agree with you, but I would flip Caleb Williams and Michael Penix. Even though it was a small sample size.
I would too.
Would you? Yeah, I figured. Even though it was a small sample size, I saw better stuff out of Penix. First of all, he stayed in the pocket.
Yeah.
Okay. He did do that. I mean, he has legs, but it was obvious he was trying to play from the pocket. He was not, and he didn't hang on to the ball too long either. He didn't do all that dancing around that Caleb Williams does. And that's one of the worst things a quarterback can do. You know this. I mean, and not go ahead and talk about why you think top to bottom or we would order it that way. Go ahead.
Well, one, you just have to see who had the most impact on their team, right? And we can see right away that Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels had big impacts on their team. But I just think Jaden had bigger impact because he's in the playoffs and now in the championship game.
He's in the championship game. Man, unbelievable.
He went to Philly and beat them in Philly. He went to Florida and beat the Buccaneers. He went to Detroit and beat the Lions. Now he had favorable. I think in the Lions game, it's kind of it's one of those ones where the quarterback had a bad day and it led to the offense getting very favorable positions a lot.
You could say complimentary football in that case too.
You can, but
quarterbacks can have a bad day, but if the defense doesn't take up advantage of those opportunities, then you've got nothing. So the defense
and
did a
he
great
was
job,
able
too.
he was able to take advantage of that.
Mhm.
So I mean,
Yep.
you have to give him due where credit is due. So
Yep.
I think he had the biggest impact because they're in the championship game, and then Bo Nix, got into the playoffs. Nobody was expecting anything from that team this year.
No.
We were still it was still in the middle of our dead cap with Russ, which we're no,
Right.
we got some change this off season. So we got
Yeah.
we got a lot of there's money burning a hole in our pocket right now, and I know Sean Payton is like, let's get us some
Free
running backs,
agency is going to be fun for the Denver
let's get some
Broncos, man.
defenders, let's get another cornerback.
Let's get some
Let's get
pieces. Yeah.
what I really want, if we can get anything in this offseason, one is I hope we draft a tight end. I think in the first round we just go, if we can get that Drew Alec kid from Penn State or something like that, or get Ashton Genty, something with a little pop to it. I would also want us to get a safety that it's like a John Lynch. Just
Oh yeah, you want a headhunter?
destroy
Yeah.
them. Yeah, I want to. I
Gotcha.
want to head. We haven't had that since Brian Dawkins was there
Yeah.
for a couple years.
Right.
So
Before
we
that,
kinda-
it was Steve Atwater. He was great, man.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
guy was
yeah.
awesome.
So
Yeah.
that's what I really want. I want a guy that could go that just cover that whole side of the field, like a George Polamalu kind of guy.
Yeah.
That's just everywhere. But and then with Drake May, I think just all year his resilience. The team wasn't
Yeah,
that good.
guy can take a beating because his front line may be the worst in football.
I think it was just impressive on how much he kept up with it and kept trying and kept going at it, and I think he learned a lot. That was a frying pan right there, for sure.
And he didn't have any weapons at all to throw to.
None.
Not really. No.
None. It's
I
horrible.
think he had Hunter Henry as his tight end. Who's a
The
pretty
only
good
thing he
tight
had
end,
going
that's
for
about it.
they had a decent running game with that running back they
Stevenson.
had.
Yeah, Stevenson.
Yeah,
was
Stevenson
doing
was
pretty
decent. Yeah.
So yeah, and then for me, Penix, because I feel like Caleb. Well, he played more than Penix. Caleb just, what was his saying to his punter at the beginning of the season? You're not going to do a lot.
You're not going to work a lot. Yeah.
You're not going to work a lot. And how many fucking punts did we see them do?
Right.
I mean, yeah, in your bra, which Caleb seems to wear one. So I just much more impressive. So for me, it's going to be Penix next, and I put him close to Drake May. Honestly, I think it's pretty close. I think just if he had played more, I think he would have covered over Drake May because
I think they would have made the playoffs over the Bucks. I believe. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they made the change too late. Don't you?
Yeah, for sure. But
yeah,
it was a hard choice to make, right? How do you sit the $200 million man, kind of
Right.
thing. So that was a tough choice, but they eventually made it. But like you said, it was just a little too late.
Everybody thought Atlanta was out of their minds picking Michael Penix as high as they did when they had just paid all that money to Kirk Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
They all thought, how smart does Arthur Blank and his group look now? Keep an eye on the Falcons, man. I like what Arthur Blank does. They're not that far removed from a Super Bowl. They're really not. Dan Quinn he's been in Dallas being the defensive coordinator for what, 3-4 years now since he had that job. They're going to bounce back, man. That team is going to have to be dealt with in the South. No doubt.
I feel like I think they're going to need to make a decision before usually there's like a March 1st or April 1st deadline.
March 3rd.
Where they have to make a choice with Cousins. And honestly, if I were them, I would eat it and treat it just like the Broncos did this year, where they had that massive dead cap for a year, and then they come back and they still have Penix on another 3 years if they pick up the option on a rookie contract, and then they have that window to just build. And take advantage of the rookie contract while they have it. And you don't have to worry about the dead cap too much next year because you just focus on what you already have,
not
which
like
is a
they
pretty
don't
decent
have talent.
team. Yeah, it's still a pretty decent team.
I'll tell you what. There is not a happier person on this panel. I guarantee you, the knock. When the first game Michael Penix played, he threw a touchdown pass to what's the tight end's name?
Oh, Pitts. Yeah,
Pitts.
Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts. He throws a touchdown pass to Kyle Pitts on his first drive. I was like, Knock must be beside himself. He knows who the tight end is.
Yeah.
So, that's why I put Penix above Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams showed flashes. Hey, look, this the Caleb Williams pick looks a lot like the Trevor Lawrence pick to me. It looks a lot like it. There's flashes every once in a while, but really, when you come right down to it, the guy does not know what he's doing in the pocket. He does not know.
Trevor definitely started better than Caleb did his rookie
Yeah.
year. They made the
Yeah.
playoffs, so I believe they did either that or his second year.
Yeah.
So I definitely think he started better. It's just the fall off from there was just crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now, we'll see if he can take care of the mental side of it. But yeah, I agree with you guys. The top three, it's easy. Jaden Daniels is going to be rookie of the year. I pretty much cemented that, getting them in the playoffs. I think that Bo Nix, nothing but upside there, and he's improving every time he plays.
I really
I
hope they
think
get him a
that
tight
Peyton's
end.
just got to. Peyton has got to get a running game for this kid. That's one thing you're missing on that team is a running game. They have got to get a running game going with the Broncos. I think Sutton's good. He drops the ball a little bit too much for my taste, but he's a good target. You need a tight end like you talked about, but he needs some weapons around him, and he needs a running game. I think that you get a running game there, and I think Bo Nix is going to fucking flourish. I really do. And you've got to improve the defense for sure. But that front line of yours, man, dude, that guy,
They're
Zach
good.
Allen
It's the
is a
back end that we
fucking
need. We need
monster.
another corner. That's
Yeah.
the biggest thing is we need a corner opposite of Pat.
The
to
Rams
cover that.
and the fucking Broncos may have the best front four in football, both of them. I mean, it's ridiculous how much talent you've got up there at pass rushing. And then Drake May. Thing about Drake May is they're as much as you may not like the Vrabel system, they're going to be pounding the rock a lot. They're going to mow people down up front. The first thing he's going to do is get linemen that can both run block and protect this dude a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's going to change right away because he had some monsters in Tennessee. He's definitely going to get some guys that can protect the quarterback. So I think that's going to be if I know Vrabel, he's going to work on both sides of the offensive and defensive lines right away. That's the quickest way to improve what they're doing. But Drake May, yeah, that guy is a gamer. I would say the two quarterbacks that are probably the toughest just because of what they've had to face this last season is probably Joe Burrow and Drake May because these guys are mincemeat every time the fucking ball is snapped. They are running for their lives in the pocket. I don't know how many times I saw Joe Burrow just dance back and forth in the pocket and then throw the ball 40 yards downfield. It's ridiculous. It's crazy how good that guy is manipulating the pocket. But anyway, okay, that's our talk on the rookies. Speaking of the rookies, let's get to the games today. We've got the NFC Championship kicking off at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time. That one of the rookie left standing, who's going to be the rookie of the year, in my opinion, and most of our opinions. Jaden Daniels goes into enemy territory. For the third matchup between these teams, and the last time they played, the Commanders beat them. So that's got to be on the Eagles' mind, I'm sure. The other thing that's probably on the Eagles' mind right now is the health of Mr. Hurts. Is he going to be able to run today? I don't know about the injury report. We can look that up real quick. I will look that up in a tab over here on the other side real fast. But Knock, tell me about this matchup. What do you think, bro?
Yeah, I think it's mostly going to depend on him because if the biggest thing with the Eagles is not only that Saquon Barkley was is there now and definitely helped that run game, but it was still the threat of Hurts as well that kind of made at least linebackers hesitant, right? Whereas if that threat is no longer there, then they can just straight up focus on Barkley and it'll make it more easier to stop. Not saying they'll stop him completely, but it'll make it more manageable at least to do it if they don't have to worry about Hurts. So, because you don't have to leave a spy on him, you don't have to as much if he's not going to run. I'm just going to see how they're definitely going to test him. I would say early, and see how how that knee is doing. So I think it's just going to depend on that. And then this Eagles defense is really good, but Daniels has seen them twice already and wasn't scared. So
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know.
the
I don't know
guy
what to make of
plays
this.
wiser than his years, no doubt about it. Let's see. Eagles, AJ Brown, full participation. Let's see. Looks like Brittany Covey is out for them. Cam Jurgens, questionable. Let's see. Do they have Jalen listed? Yes. Full participation in practice. So apparently they're not saying how much of an issue his knee is going to be. So
I'm sure
we'll
we'll see
have
a
to
brace
wait and
on it
see.
though.
It's not like they're not going to target it, though, right? Yeah. It's. I mean, we saw what happened last week. Whenever it first happened, he took a safety. He didn't even pull the ball down. He just ate it. You know, he didn't pull the ball down and run. He pulled it down, yes, but he pretty much went into a fetal position. He didn't even try and get away. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to see what they do there. Look at these numbers, man. Here's the one that's glaring to me. The Eagles are 29th in passing the football because they're so good at running. But like you said, without Hurts running, they can focus just on Barkley. But that's going to be the thing. John, what do you think of this?
I think if it's all going to depend on if they can stop Barkley or not. If they can shut Barkley down, and because I don't think even if he's not on the injury report as being questionable or something, that injury, I think he's going to be bugged by it.
It's going to be on his mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Even he's going to be hurt and he's going to be wearing that brace. He's not going to be as mobile as he normally is. And say all you want about the defense, the Eagles' front line since they lost Kelsey is not as good as it used to be.
Well, look. I understand they're not as good as they were. Yeah. Any team that loses a Kelsey is not going to be as good, but it's still better than every other team in the NFC. Well, that's for sure. Just look at these guys getting off the bus. The guy that replaced Kelsey, he's the smallest guy on the offense, and he's 320 pounds, and he's 6'4". That's the smallest guy on their offensive line.
Yeah.
This is why they can run the football so well. But here's the thing. You've got a wily old veteran back there in first ballot Hall of Famer and Bobby Wagner that is he's gonna coach up these linebackers that are working with him to try, and if they focus squarely on Barkley and make Hurts beat them with his arm, I think that's the best path of victory for them. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And we've watched Barkley all year. He can do it against 8-man fronts. He's got really great vision, but I think that's what they're going to have to do. I think that's what Washington's going to have to do. I don't remember the last time they played. I didn't see the game. Knock, do you remember the last time they played and how that panned out? Because they did win. They came out with the victory.
It was a game-winning drive by the Jaden Daniels. The game.
Yeah. If they can keep up with them, I like their chances. I like Washington's chances. I'm going to take Washington in this one. I just they feel like one of those wild card teams that could go all the way and just break everybody's spirit with the way this guy plays in the last 2 minutes of a football game, man. What it brings to mind to me, and John, you might remember this, and I'm sure you do. Most football fans do. It's Joe Montana versus the Bengals. They had it won. Yeah. They had it won, and last 2 minutes, he's sitting there in the huddle with those guys, and they're all wondering what they're going to do. They got to go 80 yards, and he says, "Hey, that's John Candy over there. Points out John Candy in the crowd. He's got that kind of poise, is what I'm saying about this kid. I don't think the moment's going to be too big for him. He's proven it in 2 playoff games now. And he's proven it all during the season. I mean, do we need to talk about every game-winning drive he's had this year? He's been doing it all year.
Yeah.
If he's got a chance at the end of the game, he's going to get him in position for that game-winning field goal, or he'll throw a Hail Mary and make it happen, man. I mean, God, that one against the Bears was bananas. So that's who I'm going with in this one. John, who do you think's going to win this game?
I think the Eagles have too much. Saquon Barkley is just going to be too hard to stop.
Yeah.
I mean, take nothing away from Bobby Wagner.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
But Barkley's just too good.
Yeah, I hear you. And like I said, he's running behind some monsters, man. They are
huge
human beings. Yep.
But,
okay,
I'm going with the Eagles.
Yep. Knoxter, who you got?
It's pretty tough, but I kind of have to put the edge on Commanders a little bit, just because of the unknown status of Hurts. While this is in Philly, I think the momentum is with the Commanders at the moment. I think their defense can do what they need to, and I think Jaden Daniels doesn't give a crap about that number 1 defense.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think the momentum is a little bit on the Commander side. Like I said, but it all depends on Hurts. If Hurts does well, then I think they can pull this off. But I think a little bit of right now the momentum is on the Commanders, so I'm kind of siding with them. But
it's obviously proven that they can stop Saquon. They've beaten them this year, so they had to stop him at some point, right? So, go ahead, keep going.
I was going to say, I'm on an island picking the Eagles. Wow.
I mean, it's not a bad pick. I mean,
not at all. Either one of these teams could win it. I just think as Hurts goes, this team is going to go. And Saquon Barkley, that effect changes everything. It benefits Hurts, okay? They have to concentrate on Saquon Barkley and dare Hurts to beat him. Now, can he?
Because we're not even talking about Jaden Daniels' running ability.
No.
Yeah, that's true.
We haven't yet.
Yeah.
We've been talking about his passing ability and his offense and all that. He can run the ball. Now, he doesn't do it as much. He did it a bunch last week. That's for sure.
Yeah,
he didn't go for a crazy amount of yards, but he still did it. So he's willing to do it.
The threat is there, though, and it changes everything. It opens things up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you don't have that with Hurts. Well, you may not. So that's what we got to see. So without knowing how Hurts is going to be, I got to side with the Commanders. That's pretty much where I'm at. If Hurts was 100%, then I would have picked the Eagles. Easily.
Yeah, pick the Eagles. I would too.
Even though Commanders could still win, I would have picked the Eagles for sure.
Who do I want to make it? I want the Commanders to win, just because I want to see a rookie make it to his first year into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it would be the first.
Yep. Okay, well, you want to talk about teams we did not imagine when we started the season they would be there. Let's talk about the Buffalo Bills versus
this
the
is
Kansas
total
City
shocker.
Chiefs.
Total shocker.
Look, not the Chiefs, the Bills. Can we agree that all the players they lost, especially on the defensive side, we didn't think the Bills would be at this point? I mean, I didn't. I remember the discussion we had at the beginning of the season. I
thought you were joking for a second there, but honestly,
no, I'm not joking.
I thought the Bills were going to be there the entire time. So I did
didn't.
not. I was completely of the different mind of you.
Yeah, I thought they had lost so many players. I mean, they lost Diggs on the offensive side. They lost friggin' their entire secondary got cut loose in the offseason. I thought it was going to be a reclamation thing on the defensive side. You know what I mean?
But they kept the MVP. So
yeah, they did. Do you think he's going to get the MVP? We didn't even talk about that.
I think with that game last week, I think it's a easy call.
The MVP's already been voted on, though. They voted on it before the end of the season. Yeah. So,
in my opinion, it should have been Saquon Barkley, but that's just
They never give it to running backs.
I know it's
they should. That's not a bad pick. But much as I can't stand the guy, yeah, I'd have to say Josh
here's
Daniels the fucking MVP
and I
this year.
again I go with Dan Orlovsky on this one. Who had the most impact on the game? Would the Eagles have made the playoffs without Saquon Barkley? Yes or no?
No, I don't think so.
No,
Really? And even though they've done it the last several years.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So
but,
would the Ravens have made the playoffs without Lamar Jackson? Yes or no?
No.
Maybe not. Okay, how close
don't
do you think
think
they
so.
would have gotten?
But
Now here's the last one. Hang on.
Okay.
This is the last one. Would the Bills have sniffed the playoffs
No.
without Josh Allen?
No.
To me, that's what identifies the MVP.
The Bills,
if you took that player out,
Yeah.
would that team done anywhere near as good as they did? And I
No.
think you could say for the Bills, he had the biggest impact of those three players.
he did.
That's it.
He did.
That's all I'm saying. That's my.
And you guys
that's
know
Dan
how much I
Orlovsky's
can't
saying,
stand
so.
this guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the MVP. He is. So
That's what says MVP to me. Not the most popular vote. Just the.
here's the thing, though,
impact.
fellas.
It was
It's
already
the
voted.
playoffs now.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you. I think Jaden Daniels should be in that conversation.
For the MVP.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if rookies are allowed to can win it. I don't know. If
Oh
that's a
yeah,
thing
they
or not.
can win it. Yes, they can.
But if anything,
I've never
I would
seen
say
it happen. But yeah, any player in the NFL can do it.
if I had to put someone in, I'd put him above Lamar and Barkley, to be honest with you, because I don't think the Commanders haven't been anywhere close,
Right.
without a quarterback.
Without
so,
this dude,
and
yeah.
since RG3, and he had a monumental a rookie season. He just got hurt, and then because they were up 14-0 on Seahawks, and
Yep.
then he broke his leg again. That was so ugly.
Yeah.
But
It was nasty.
if he had been healthy, they may have had a chance in that game to win it and go
Yep.
further. He could have gotten an MVP in that year. So, I'm just saying, like I would put Daniels even higher in that discussion over some of these other guys. So
Well, here's the thing, though. Will Josh Allen, the eventual MVP, to me, for sure.
I think he got it too.
Does he get over the hump? Does he beat
Yeah.
the Chiefs? I don't see it happening. It's an Arrowhead, and we all know what happens there. So no, I don't think he does. But that's just me. I think it's going to go the way that these games always go. Patrick Mahomes is going to beat him in the end, and that's the way I see it going. Knock, what you think the Bills are going to get over the hump?
I think most likely. I mean, obviously, I picked the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl, so I think they're probably going to win this game.
Right.
Obviously, we all know who I'm rooting for to win this game.
Right.
Unfortunately, the Bills have two teams they have to go against. They have to go against the Chiefs and the refs. And I don't know if it's the same guy as last week, but Chiefs were 9-0 with that guy as the referee. So,
Right.
If it's the same ref, then they're going to go 10-0. So I just who's gonna that's just how it ends up. It just ends up if it goes to overtime, it's gonna go to the Chiefs, and they're gonna win it. Who did we see earlier this year when they went to the playoffs? There, your favorite guy there, Joe. As soon as he knew that the Chiefs won the coin toss in overtime, that was Mr. Mayfield. Yeah, Baker Mayfield. He knew it right away. Yeah, he's like, game over. I'll never see the ball. So that's the same thing. Now, unless I'm mistaken, they did change the rules for the playoffs, where if you score a touchdown, the other team still has a chance to get a touchdown.
What player did they do that
The
for?
Josh Allen
They
rule.
did. So
This
the Josh
Josh
Allen
Allen
rule.
rule,
So
yeah.
well, let's see if that makes effect here, or if it what if
Right,
it burns him? Right, he goes down,
he
gets a
end up
touchdown.
1-6
Mahomes gets it.
in those
Mahomes gets
situations
it,
today.
scores touchdown, and then he gets it back and throws a pick, and then they get a field goal to win the game. So it's going to be interesting because there's no tie, so they can go in as many overtimes as needed, but eventually it gets to sudden death again, and if the Chiefs get it last, they're gonna go down and get a field goal.
I think this is going to be a great game. I think it's going to be very entertaining. But I think that Josh Allen his football IQ is not as big as Steve Spagnuolo's, and so I'm pretty sure Steve wins this one. So that's really the matchup that counts. The Chiefs are going to do what they do. Josh Allen has a monumental task today. He has to keep up with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs at home. That's what every team has to do when they come in that place. They have to
I feel
score
like
for
at
score
least
with them.
I feel like this year hasn't been really that, right? I feel like this year there's not been the offensive juggernaut that we all know about. Where
Right.
while they still find ways to win, it hasn't been by blowouts by any means. They almost lost to Denver in Kansas City,
Yep.
so
Mhm.
they're not unbeatable in
Mhm.
Kansas City. I don't think it's been impressive. I think they could have lost last week if the Texans did better in the second half and they didn't get have to fight the refs for bullshit calls.
Mhm.
That did change the momentum of that game.
Mhm.
Now the defense for the Chiefs won them in the second half, in my opinion, and that's the difference. So can they? But I think the way Josh Allen is, you can't defend Josh Allen like you do C.J. Stroud,
No.
because Josh Allen
No,
will
for
run
sure.
over you.
For sure.
So while Chris Jones is still going to be an issue, I feel like one, you can scheme against Chris Jones, but that means someone else is going to have to step up for the Chiefs, and I think they could do
His
that
name
for
is
sure.
George Karlaftis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody knows that name. So, anyways, outside
Well, the
of
Chiefs do.
Kansas, outside of Kansas, nobody knows that name. So, but yeah, I mean, and then he's shown he's got two great tight ends. He's gotten some good receivers that have been showing up. That stepped up for that wide receiver core. So, and then you got James Cook. Don't forget about him.
Yeah.
Don't forget about Cook.
Yeah. Look, if they're going to win today, James Cook has to have a big day. There's no doubt in my mind about that. He's got to have a big day. John, tell us about being the king and how you're going to remain the king.
Well, there is someone who knows George Karlaftis' name, and that's C.J. Stroud.
No, we ain't talking about him. So
Yeah,
he's
but
old news.
yeah, he is old news. No doubt.
Well, what can I say? I mean, they haven't, they haven't been they've changed mentalities. They were, when Pat started, they were this, offensive, let's blow them out. Now we're built around defense.
Mm-hmm.
And defense, they basically defense wins the games for us and allows Pat just to go down and do what he needs to do at the very end. And that's the way this one's going to turn out. And all I've got to say is 13 seconds.
Yeah, true. That's all it takes, for sure. But I have to ask you something, man. Who would you consider the number one receiver on that team?
Right now,
receiver.
probably,
I'm not talking about the tight end position. The number one receiver.
Probably Worthy.
Who is also one of the fastest men in the NFL.
Yep.
Yet we rarely see him. See him complete a ball.
he has like two plays a game.
It's bizarre to me. You've got guys on that team can outblaze anybody, but they never get open. I don't understand it. They keep relying on Kelsey, and if I'm the Bills, if Kelsey gets open today, then I'm firing my defensive coordinator at halftime. Okay, I'm just not. You can't keep letting him do this. You can't. You have to fucking stop him.
How did the Texans fire their OC and not their DC?
Right? What the fuck?
He mentioned it multiple times in that game, man. You can't zone Kelsey. Like it just does not. He'll find it.
You have to have a guy press. One of the best things I saw watching pregame this morning was I don't know the guy's name. He's an ex-defensive lineman. I think he played for the Bucs. He was talking about how him and RG3 were talking back and forth about how to defend Kelsey, and RG3 is one of the smartest football guys I've ever listened to, and he said it's very simple how to stop Kelsey. He said you have to have a guy that's big enough to get in front of him and not just chip him. He said you have to push that guy backwards at least 1 to 2 yards at the snap of the ball. You have to get that physical with him. He said because these guys, most of the time, they just try and chip him. All you're doing is sending him in his route faster. That's all you're doing. He said you've got to get a guy in front of him that pushes him backwards, gets him going backwards and makes him recalibrate. And because Mahomes, if anything else, he's a master at getting rid of the ball fast. And one of the reasons why is Kelsey can get open fast. You get a guy that's physical enough to smash him at the line, then put somebody over the top, you've got him stopped. It can be done. You have to commit to it, though. You know, it's just
there's one small problem with that.
Yeah.
Then that leaves Noah Gray open, and Noah Gray will burn you.
Yeah, I have to say
that may be true.
The second tight end has been
Gray.
making some strides this year. Yeah, he has. He's been getting some balls this year.
Again, no one outside of Kansas City knows that name. So,
but I have seen him catch balls for him this year.
No, he
true.
has. I'm not saying he can't, but that's not who you're scared of.
Right.
And he's had drops too.
Yeah.
So is Kelsey.
It's going to be a good game. I think Spagnuolo is the difference in this.
Yeah.
And,
it's
why somebody has not snatched him off that team yet. Maybe he just doesn't want to be a head coach again. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just wants to be a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
He's the Josh McDaniels of the defensive coordinator.
Yes, absolutely. So that's what we got in this one, boys and girls, and it's going to be fun. I'm going to enjoy watching that one.
I hope it doesn't go to overtime. I'm going to be honest. I really hope it doesn't go to overtime because that just means the game's going to be even longer, and it's already going to be long enough.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to see any game go to overtime. I don't like it at all. I want them to win in regulation.
I'm just saying, this game's actually starting relatively early, 6:30, and if it goes in overtime, it's probably going to be past like 10 before it's done, and I'm going to want to go to sleep.
Knox thinking about his sleep for tomorrow.
I am, man.
Dude, it's one day out of the year. Suck it up. Come on.
Man. What are you talking about? This is every week for the last 3 months I've had to do this. Especially when they put the Broncos on primetime.
Oh, man. Well, all right, boys and girls. That's it for this week's show. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we get out of here as far as the season goes? No? I think we've covered a lot in 2 hours today. I will tell you if you're...
we only have one more show.
Yeah, we've only got one more show. It's going to be the... season wrap up on Super Bowl Sunday. We're going to do that same time, 2 weeks from now at 10 a.m. Central Time. I just like to get this done early before noon and get out of here so that I can go enjoy the games.
Well, noon for you, but
yeah. Well, you know what I'm saying. In plenty of time before the games. So let's see. We got Keely Chow saying thank you for a great show. You are welcome, my friend. You are welcome. And I want to let you guys know what's going on with the channel before we get out of here. Definitely go enjoy the games though today, especially the one that, both of them are going to be great games, but what a story it's going to be if the Washington Redskins.
Oh, breaking news.
Get up against the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl.
What's the breaking news
here? We got breaking news here.
Break that news, sir.
The Commanders will be without defensive tackle Daron Payne versus the Eagles.
Ooh, that's
not good.
Oof.
That's the first line of defense against Mr. Barkley.
It is. That's huge. It happened 14 minutes ago on NFL memes, but
wow.
Yeah, that's a big one. But sorry, go ahead.
Cyrano Black only been here for the last 5 minutes, but sees like an interesting show. I'm going to be back and watch the replay. Do so, man. You got plenty of time before kickoff in a couple hours here to check out our thoughts on everything. We broke down the games and we talked about how the 5 rookie quarterbacks did this year. It's actually 6, but McCarthy really didn't get a chance with Minnesota. But
talk about the coaching changes as well.
We talked about the coaching changes and we gave our predictions on the games. So go enjoy the games, guys. And thanks for being here, Cyrano Black. Appreciate you stopping by. Let's let you know what's going on with the channel. Of course, you're watching Pregame Party, and we will be back for the pregame party for Super Bowl 59 in 2 weeks on that Sunday. I think it's the 9th. Is that right? Can't remember. One of you guys look at your phone and give me the exact date, but it's 2 weeks from today at 10 a.m. Central Time. We will be on with our season wrap up and pregame for Super Bowl 59. Next, What's that? It's the 9th?
the 9th,
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was pretty sure that was it. Monday at 10 a.m. Central Time, come check me out on Pop Culture Minefields channel as I hang out with Gary, Anima, and Martin Acosta Santana as we check out Universal Soldier on Military Monday on Pop Culture Minefields channel. And then, of course, It's Only Talking Roll usually comes your way at 4 p.m. Central Time on Monday. He's not going to have a show this week. We're going to start up 2 weeks excuse me, a week from this Monday with our next show. So come check it out on That 70s Rock Fans channel at 4 p.m. Central Time. And then, of course, Tuesday, I'll be back on my channel with Papa Joe Gamer After Dark, video games, cocktails, and fails. And this week, I'm going to be playing DC Universe Online because it's the last Tuesday of the month. And me and Lunatic are going to get together with a special hooker version of DC Universe Online. That's right. Anyway, you guys come check it out as I have a couple of cocktails and hang out with my friends and play some DCUO on Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Central Time. And then, of course, Stay the Atmosphere comes your way every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. You guys come check it out. We talk about everything pop culture, movies, shows, video games, and, of course, we check in on the sweetheart of the show, Sydney Sweeney. So you guys come check it out. 5:30 p.m. Central Time on my channel. And then Friday at 8 p.m. Central Time, it's time for Fallout, Tale of Two Wastelands with Game Night with John on Pop Culture Minefields channel. You guys come check that out. Knock and Jed like to join and troll him along with Martin Acosta Santana. And that's over on Pop Culture Minefields channel and John's channel on Friday at 8 p.m. Central Time. And for some reason, I keep forgetting to put my own show in there on Friday, 1 p.m. Central Time. It's Sketching the Privateer, the story of America's pirate patriot, as I draw my comic book for an hour before I go to work on Friday. That's 1 p.m. Central Time on Friday. And just a programming note, starting next Sunday at 6 p.m. Central Time, the Brothers Hack the Matrix makes its change back to Sundays. We moved it to Mondays during football season. We're moving it back now to Sundays at 6 p.m. Central Time. So next Sunday, 6 p.m. Central Time, Highlander will be back with me, filling you in on everything that is the clown show of 2025 through today's headlines. 6 p.m. Central Time for the Brothers Hack the Matrix. So for myself, John, it's good to be the king, Das Wolfen, and the Knockster with probably the second best rookie coming out of the draft this year, Mr. Bo Nix. Want to say thank you for being here. Let's check in with the chat one more time. Keely Chow says, hello, superheroic nurses. Oh, man, what the hell is he doing? That thumbnail. Yes. Okay. I get what you're talking about. Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm going to have some fine little hookers on display during DC Universe this week. So you guys come check it out. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for being here. And until we see you again, I want you guys to keep on keeping on. God bless.